What is up, YouTube? Campus Primer back at you with yet another video. And it's another hockey video. I know some people have had some colorful comments thrown at me after my last video, but I can't help it. This is something I'm passionate about, so it's a thing I do. Anyway, I'm going to be giving you guys my comments and thoughts on the matchups for the 2020 Winter Classic and Stadium Series. Now, I know it's been a while since I've made a video regarding the winter outdoor games. The last video I did regarding them was my top 10 list of my favorite outdoor game jerseys, in which the Detroit Red Wings jersey from the 2014 Winter Classic came out as number 1. So, some of this information was revealed at the 2019 Winter Classic this past year, when Gary Bettman made an announcement during the second intermission of the game. But we weren't given all the information. But now we have the complete information. So let's start. Let's start with the Winter Classic. What we were told on New Year's Day was two things. One, it's going to be held at the Cotton Bowl. And two, the Dallas Stars will be the home team. Now, when we first heard that, we were starting to wonder who could their opponent be. A popular favorite was the Minnesota Wild, mainly because the Dallas Stars were originally in Minnesota as the Minnesota North Stars before moving to Dallas. Another one that fans thought was maybe the St. Louis Blues or the New York Rangers, for reasons I don't quite understand, because I'm not really familiar with Dallas's rivalries and why they would have rivalries with northern teams. But that's not the point. You're probably wondering who did end up getting chosen as the Stars' opponents. Well, this may come as a shock to some of you, and we were wondering when this was going to happen, but the Stars' opponent will be the Nashville Predators, the 2018 regular series Western Conference champions, at least according to the banner that hung up in Bridgestone Arena. Yeah, two teams are competing in their very first outdoor game for the first time. The Stars are the home team, the Preds are the visitors. And the Preds have had somewhat of a successful run over the last few years, making the playoffs, winning the President's Trophy a few times, their captain being married to Carrie Underwood. But sometimes that's not enough to justify being a successful franchise. I mean, they did blow it on their home ice in Game 6 against the Penguins 2 years ago, so they have that going for them. So you're probably wondering what are my thoughts on this matchup. First of all, I think that if they were really going to choose a venue in Texas to host an outdoor game, my first vote would have been for AT&T Stadium. Just because it's huge, they could get a huge crowd out there, the possibilities are endless for what they could do with that stadium. The other thing is, why the Predators of all teams to face the Stars? My favorite was the Minnesota Wild to play them. That would have made for an awesome historic matchup. But I guess Bettman thinks otherwise. Wanted to cash in on the Predators' recent success, I suppose. And the fact that they're the two most southern teams. Well, if you don't count the Florida teams. That's beside the point. Now onto the Stadium Series, which was also given some information on New Year's Day. What we knew on New Year's Day, first, it's going to be held at the Air Force Academy in Colorado, and two, the Avalanche will be the home team, competing in their second outdoor game. Now, many of us, when we first heard this news, our instinct was that their opponent would be the Washington Capitals. Mainly going on the fact of two things. One, they're the reigning Stanley Cup champions, and two, their most recent outdoor game appearance was at last year's Stadium Series game, where they competed against the Toronto Maple Leafs at the Naval Marine Corps the Naval Academy Stadium in Baltimore. So many of us thought that the Capitals were going to be chosen as their opponents. But, just like with the Winter Classic, Bettman said, nope. Who did get chosen as the Avalanche's opponents? Well, I'm not going to like this one bit, but their opponent was chosen to be the Los Angeles Kings. This will be their third outdoor game appearance. Their second as the visitors. Their first of which being in 2015, when they were the visiting team at Levi Stadium against the San Jose Sharks, but they won. Their other outdoor game appearance was a year prior in 2014 against Anaheim at Dodger Stadium, which they lost in a 3-0 defeat. So, many of us are upset about them choosing LA. I mean, if they wanted to go with the whole mountain theme, they maybe could have waited a few years for the Seattle team to be formed. Although if I know Bettman like I think I do, they're probably going to push the rivalry between them and Vegas because they're the newest expansion franchises, and completely push Vancouver out of the picture. Or maybe if they want to do something else along the desert theme, they maybe could have had the Arizona Coyotes, but considering they could be moving to Houston in a few years, that probably wouldn't be a good idea. So, I'm still trying to figure out why the Kings, of all teams, to play them. Something about it just doesn't make sense. But we gotta make best with what we got. Now, two other franchises have expressed interest in hosting outdoor games. One of them being the Boston Bruins. They will be celebrating their 100th anniversary in 2024, and they've made a request to the NHL Commissioner, Gary Bettman, that year they would like to host the Winter Classic at Harvard, at their football stadium, with the Montreal Canadiens as their opponents. We don't know if that's going to happen or not. We still have a few years to go before we get details on that. The other one, we don't know when this is going to happen. Could be next, could be in 2021, could be 23, 22, whenever. Another team who has expressed interest in competing in an outdoor game is the Tampa Bay Lightning. They have expressed heavy interest in bringing an outdoor game to Tampa. Now, I've been talking to people in some of my hockey groups on Facebook, and they believe really the only place in Florida that could host an outdoor hockey game is somewhere in St. Petersburg. And the other upsetting fact about this is the Lightning have said that if they do play an outdoor game, they do not want the Panthers as their opponents. They specifically requested either the Calgary Flames or the Chicago Blackhawks, the two teams they've played in the Stanley Cup Finals. Preferably the Flames, because they were the team they actually beat to win the Cup in 2004. So, us Panthers fans, we get the shaft. The one time an outdoor game gets brought to Florida, and Tampa doesn't want us participating. So that sort of sucks. But that's all I have to say on this year's outdoor games. You know, it's really hard for me to pick whose side I'm going to be cheering for, because I'm not a Predators fan, I'm not a Kings fan, I'm not an Avalanche fan, and I'm not a Stars fan. So, yeah. But I'm still going to watch the games and wait for what the uniforms are going to look like. I'm sure they'll pick something good. But I guess that's about it. Later, guys. I am out of here.